Last month, the latest iteration of the KSF Surf Mapping Contest came to an end. And as always, there were creative and beautiful maps, with the 3 bests being rewarded handsomely. But there was one submission standing out. One submission that, after I saw it, thought could change surf maps forever. I thought it would introduce a completely new type of map that has never been seen before in the over 800 maps on KSF servers. Talking about Moby Vic's Surf Voyager, which featured the world's first no input route. Inspired by Trackmania's W-only maps, it doesn't require any input whatsoever to be perfectly served and finished. You can, however, move the mouse completely freely, as long as you do not press any keys, it will not impact your trajectory whatsoever. The visuals around may not be what we would consider quality standard nowadays, with ramps just floating in space, but that's because, firstly, this is Moby Vic's first map ever, and secondly, all of the 2 months the mappers had to work on their submission went into figuring out and creating the no-input gameplay. Or rather, almost all, because Moby managed to add another route to the map that demands conventional surf and features some more ramps and shortcuts that is around tier 2 or 3. A lot of mappers have thought about and even started trying something like this, but never successfully finished one. Part of the reason is the tedious process it takes to make it. Every change in the map editor hammer must be checked in-game. Fortunately, Momentum Mod exists. It's a standalone game that focuses on creating the best environment for all source movement mods. And while its development progress is not the fastest, the possibilities it offers for mappers make it perfect, almost mandatory for every mapper. It, for example, reads the map from your CSF map folder and recognizes the movement mode from the prefix like surf or p-hop and sets up the offline server with the correct settings immediately. In CSS, you would have to manually put in the right settings every single time you test the map. Momentum Mod also has an integrated save log feature that allows to save a position and teleport back to it, which vanilla CSS of course does not have. It would require a server and a plugin. The saved locations even stay intact when the map is reloaded and changes have been made to it, allowing to test from the last saved position instead of starting over every single time. That of course comes very handy here when checking the position of the next ramp, moving it by millimeters at a time to get the no input route right. But even with Momentum Mod, the constant back and forth of adding, testing and adjusting, all while working in the probably most outdated piece of software still in use, has to be one of the most tedious, boring and annoying tasks ever. And while you might think this no input thing is just a funny gimmick that's fun for 2 or 3 runs, what I saw in this is a completely new meta for surf maps, a completely new chapter in surf mapping. Because right now there is a problem that exists for quite some time. Let's say you are a mapper. You have 3 choices. First, you make an easy tier 1 or 2 map. As most people are in this skill range, you make sure that way that a lot of people get to experience your map in-game. Because modern maps, at least most of them, take crazy amount of time and effort to build, with most of the time going into detailing. It's of course in the mapper's interest that the map is seen by as many people as possible. Your second option for that, next to a map made for the easy servers, is an incredibly hard one. So hard that it makes the round in the community, get the people talking and stand out as an incredible achievement, even for the top surfers. That way, most surfers won't play it, but the notoriety brings people to watch the records and even personal bests, and with that, the map still has a lot of exposure, even though most do not experience it firsthand. As the last option, you do not focus so much on the difficulty. You might just build and take whatever the difficulty turns out to be. You rather focus on the flow of the gameplay or building the atmosphere with detailing. That's perfectly fine, but what it also means is that the map will not be seen by many, not be played by many, and forgotten rather quickly. There are numerous examples for it. In fact, most maps fall in this category, and that's a huge problem. I want to single out Surf Angst by Proxy Chains, the most beautiful map in Surf. It's tier 4 and to be honest, it doesn't have the greatest of flows. But look at this beauty. And it only has 205 finishers since its release in 2022. 205 people have actually experienced the best looking surf map. In comparison, the following year Proxy Chains released Surf Agony, also incredibly looking, but this time with better flow and tier 2. It has racked up 3,300 finishers. I would bet you Angst demanded at least as much work, if not more, to achieve these incredible visuals, but it only has a tenth of the number of finisher Agony has. Now, imagine with a tier 0 map meta. You could create such stunning details, put all the effort in it, all the hours, and with a no input route, guarantee that the greatest possible number of players can experience it. Literally everybody, every single person that owns a CSS copy turns into a potential surfer. Imagine how cool it would be to have a standout, super hard map that the pros struggle to even complete, just like Corruption or Anubis, and yet it's listed as a tier 0 because it has a no input route. And when the record appears on YouTube, more people will recognize the map and be drawn to it as they have seen it in person themselves. Maybe even tried the hard route and got a feeling of how hard it actually is and how deceptive it is, how easy the record makes it look. If tier 0 would have become an established new thing, the workflow would have been refined. More mappers would have got into this and all kinds of maps could have become reality. No input tech, no input smooth, multiple alternative routes with increasing difficulty. Imagine a map that offers routes from tier 0 all the way up to tier 8. Truly something for everybody. But why all just hypothetically? Why only speculations? Because the map doesn't work. Let me explain. The map was designed in Momentum mod. And it doesn't work on the servers. It doesn't work on KSF servers in Counter-Strike Source. It doesn't work on any other server in Counter-Strike Source. And it most likely will not work on any other servers in any other Source game mode. But what's the problem? Well, that's hard to say. KSF servers run a lot of plugins, and some of which have effects on the physics of the engine. There is a ramp fix that helps with ramp bugs, for example, and RNG fix that fixes bugs in the Source engine where some actions have different results at a random as far as we know. That's why it's called RNG. The plugin developed by Rio was a huge step forward and runs on every single movement server basically since the plugin's release, as randomness is the greatest enemy of a competitive environment and even turns some maps unplayable. But it's not as easy saying RNG fix is the problem. The map, at least some versions of it, as Moby kept trying to fix it for KSF, runs perfectly fine on some Momentum mod versions with integrated RNG fix. It also runs on vanilla CSS without any plugins, at least the version of the map that I have. It also runs in Momentum mod without RNG fix. But it never works on KSF server or on servers that replicate the plugin situations of KSF. Dunk and KSF head admin Sam have now invested hours on trying to get it to work or even really figuring out what exactly breaks it, but without any meaningful success. Even if it turns out RNG fix is the root issue, then there's absolutely no chance it will ever be on any movement server, because you cannot enable or disable plugins for every single map, but only for a server, and no server can miss out on RNG fix, as I said. That means Surf Voyager will not be playable on any surf server. It can only be played locally. I put a link in the description where you can download it and play it for yourself. And with that, the time for tier 0 maps has ended before it even began. That's already it for me. I just really wanted to show this map in case anybody didn't have a chance to see it. And I also feel nobody else was as hyped and is now as disappointed how this played out as me. Anyway, thanks for watching, thanks to all the channel members, the support is greatly appreciated. Thanks to Moby for the amazing map. Also Moby for being a channel member and the infos he gave me. Thanks to Sam and Dunk. See you, bye.